Dreamers everywhere, welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Zilmerman.
And I'm the other one of your hosts, Al Day. How you doing?
I'm good. How?
Oh my gosh, this is
that doesn't sound like improv. I'm sorry.
Most boring podcast opening. How are you doing?
Fine.
How are you? Yes.
I was expecting something.
Is it rainy?
No. But I was expecting something. That's why.
Yeah, because the first time we tried this, listeners, I had a cool improv thing that I was going, and then there was a problem with the recording. We had to start over again, and then he was like, "Do your cool improv thing again," and I was like, "It's not a cool improv thing anymore because it's rehearsed," and so I didn't do it. But she was expecting me to do it, and now here we are.
It's a fascinating story.
It is.
I noticed you stopped stuttering.
Was I stuttering before?
No. It's from Real Genius, the movie.
Oh my God, Real Genius. I have not seen Real Genius since it came out in the 80s.
We watched it a lot. We also quoted a lot.
God.
How was your Disney week or weeks? Now that it's been plural weeks.
Pretty good. Mm-hmm. I was actually earlier today. Okay, here's what's interesting. I moved down to Orange County in 1993 to take a job at Chapman University.
Yes,
and so that's the first year I got a Disney annual passport. And I was just flipping through YouTube this morning instead of doing any of the number of important things I should be doing. And I found, you remember those, and I'm sure people still have them in their garage, those VHS tapes they used to do like a day at Disneyland?
Yeah, oh my God, yes. We used to send away for those all the time.
So they had one on YouTube that was like from 1993. So I was just like in the morning getting up and like making coffee and whatever, and I just put it on. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so weird how Disneyland looks both exactly the same, but then the changes, like they'd be walking down Main Street. I'm like, oh, that's not there anymore. Now it's da-da-da-da-da. And so it was just really cool because all of a sudden, and I think you may appreciate this because I am of an age where 1993 doesn't seem very long ago to me. And then I go, oh, it was 30 years ago. Because I always think of the 90s as like 10 years ago.
No, I've seen that meme where it's like somebody said 20 years ago and I'm thinking the 80s, but...
It's true. It's like, to me, I'm like, oh, 93, that was just 30 years ago.
Well, and I think about like when I was a kid and in the 70s and 80s and listening to 50s and 60s music and thinking that was so old, like old, fat, old music.
Old music, doo-woppy music, right?
And now the 80s is 40 years ago. That's not even right. That doesn't even sound right. That's got to be wrong somewhere in some universe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Gen X is messing with the timetable somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I think it's because of the millennium, because like literally
maybe
19 blah blah is how I think of time.
Yeah.
And even though I don't still write 19 on my checks, largely because I no longer write checks.
Write checks, yeah.
But like the 2000s, I think until I die, will always be like this weird aberration because I'm like, oh no, I spent most of my life in the 90s. But that's about to not be true anymore in the 1900s.
Oh my gosh.
I was thinking the other day, all of my college students, none of my incoming college students were born in the 20th century. They're completely born in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
It is the 21st century, which still seems like a thing that would be on a sci-fi show.
Well, two things about that. One, so I'm teaching 7th grade only this year. I'm teaching 7th grade language arts. And the other day, 2 kids were talking. They're like, it's so lame. And I'm like, what's lame? They're like, that we graduate in 2029. Like 2030 would be so much better. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you talking like 2029? I'm like, is that George Jetson? Like, we're supposed to be in spaceships by now. I'm like, I never even thought I'd be quiet.
Right? Like, yeah,
I know.
Like, it is currently 2023. 2023.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So welcome to the Old People's Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Well, they knew that. I don't think they questioned that. But my Disney week and actually a lot of what I'm doing this week has to do with 9/11. Since we are recording this on September 10th and releasing this on September 11th, I'm thinking about it a lot. But Annika, even though Annika's not in school at this moment, her age group are now seniors in college if they would have went all the way through. So for the kids who went all the way through without stopping or coming back, they were not born on September 11th, 2001. And so nobody in school right now, like, you know, age-wise, definitely not K through 12, but not even, you know,
very few. I mean,
undergraduate.
very few undergrads, in college.
Yeah. So 9/11 has been really impactful for me. I think I said on the podcast that I went this year
trip to the memorial.
Right, a week institute. And so that's actually part of my Disney week too, because National Geographic on Disney Plus has a whole mini series called 9/11 One Day in America. And it's heavy, man. And
it sounds interesting, and I'm like, can I handle watching it? Because it was such a devastating day and such a traumatic day that I'm like, ooh, it sounds really interesting, and I don't know that I have the wherewithal to watch it without being overwhelmed.
You will be overwhelmed. It is overwhelming. And now I feel even more immersed in everything since that week in July where I went. But also, I don't know, I'm feeling a sense of importance about it, I think, because of everything I did learn and am expected to teach and am teaching the kids. And, you know, the kids of seventh graders, there's a few who know what 9/11 is, a few. And actually on ABC, which is also Disney related, ABC News article that I can share, they just announced that there were 2 more victims identified.
Oh my gosh.
There's close to 1,500 victims that have not been identified yet from 9/11 still. So
oh my gosh. I was not aware
still
of
an
that.
ongoing, that's still an ongoing process. And so just Friday, news was released that 2 more victims have been identified. And so I don't know if people know this, but if you go to the museum, the 9/11 museum, in the center, there is a big wall. It's got a quote, losing it right now, about memories. And then it's a blue, they call it like the blue wall. But in that space is a locked space that medical examiners still go into. So that's where the remains are being held.
Oh my gosh.
So it's still an ongoing process that happens. So yeah, but if you can handle it, I say go to Disney Plus. I say watch that 5-part miniseries and
I'm gonna at
refresh
least
yourself.
watch the first piece just because I think it's worthwhile. And you know, it's one of those things where things like this are so important, but particularly for those of us who were sort of alive and conscious when it went down. You know, it's the rare person that doesn't remember exactly sort of the where they were that day, and it was just one of the most devastating events in my own, and you know, in the history of the country, but also in my own personal history. It was just awful. Just
It's so true. And I mean, what do we say? We never forget, never forget, never forget. And like so many people have forgotten, or at least forgotten what it was like, you know, September 12th and on when we were united. We are definitely not united at this time. So yeah, a lot of things, but that's the Disney week. Not very uplifting, but important. So, D23, Destination D23 is this weekend. Yeah, which means that in my memories, my Facebook memories, it means that a year ago today, you and I were at D23 Expo in Anaheim.
And they announced D23 for next year, August 9th through 11th, back in Anaheim.
Oh, it's earlier.
Which is like my birthday's on August 7th, so I'm like,
yes, it
is. Gonna be like a nice birthday trip.
Yeah, but are you just gonna stay after Comic-Con or what?
Well, I mean, oh my gosh, it's about 3 weeks between Comic-Con and D23, and it was last year too, and it was you know, a tough turnaround, but I still am very glad I did it. So I'll probably just
wait, but it's going to be closer together because last year was in September. If they're changing it to August,
no, it's going to be like a 3 week.
It's still going to be 3 weeks.
Yeah, because Comic-Con ends maybe it'll be like 2 weeks, week and a half. Because Comic-Con usually ends like the last Sunday of July. I'll have to double check the dates. So that's going to be about a 10-day turnaround. So I'm not going to...
When did you say it was? When did you say it was happening? 9th?
Comic-Con 2024?
No, D23.
Oh, no, D23 is August 9th, 10th, and 11th.
A Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Oh, no, sorry. Then it's whatever that weekend is. So
11, 12, 13?
Yeah, 11, 12,
okay.
13. Although, I don't know. I mean, look, we'll verify the dates on our social media, but it's a couple days after my birthday and a couple weeks after Comic-Con. So,
all right.
yeah.
All right. I wonder if it's going to be more crowded because it's in August. Well, I guess some school. I don't know.
Well,
I don't
and
know.
here's the thing: from what I understand, they're expanding it. So there's going to be an opening event on the night before at Disneyland, separately ticketed,
Oh,
of course.
of course.
And then there's a special night at the for the baseball team, which is no longer owned by Disney, but
Oh,
what's
right.
the
Angels.
what's that? The Angels. You can tell I'm such a sports guy. So I doubt I'll go to the baseball game, but I definitely will try to go to the opening ceremony at Disneyland. But again, separate ticket. You know how those things are. It's going to be pricey. But
Yeah, I don't
this
know.
is assuming that you're going. I'm definitely going. For our listeners, if you want to say hi next year, next August in 2024. But
I'm gonna
because
start looking for our
honestly,
spaces now.
I love Comic-Con and I love D23, and D23 is the only convention I've ever been to that's better run than Comic-Con. It's really amazing. D23, like, they know how to put together a convention, and they know how to charge you a premium to do so.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, are you excited about any of the announcements made for D23? There were a few, but like you said, not too much for Disneyland. Just
Yeah,
the
there
rest
wasn't
of
a
the
ton for
parks.
Disneyland. It was almost all. I mean, here's the thing: it's most of the parks aren't in Anaheim, right? So there was sort of announcements for each park, and when you have 4 parks concentrated in Florida, that's always gonna sort of have a weight. So here's the thing, and I'm so curious your take on it, because again, I've only had 3, maybe 4 visits to Walt Disney World. So one of the things I think that is interesting about Walt Disney World that's a little different than Disneyland is there's so much happening there, and people have emotional connections with things at Walt Disney World that don't have like a movie, and they aren't
Mm,
connected to a movie or another Disney property. So when people get
mm-hmm.
really stoked for Figment, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really at a loss. I don't
Yeah.
I because I'm a Disney podcaster, I know who Figment is, but I have no emotional connection with Figment. I don't miss Figment. I don't think I ever saw Figment, but Figment is really important to people who've spent a lot of time in Florida. So I
Yeah,
guess
and
what
who
I'm most
collect the
curious
popcorn
about,
buckets. They're all about the
right? That
Figment
was
popcorn bucket.
insane. What I'm
Yeah.
most curious about is when we were at D23 last year,
Mm-hmm.
we saw a lot of sort of blue sky announcements for some of the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that is really similar to some of the stuff that was announced today. Not
Mm-hmm.
exactly, like some of the locations are switched. But I guess for someone who goes to Disney World a lot more than I do, and someone who's both of their children have worked at Walt Disney World, who has been to Disneyland Paris, I have been to Hong Kong
I haven't been to
Disneyland.
Paris.
I thought you went to Paris. You didn't
When
go
would I have gone to Paris? I didn't go to Paris.
No, you've
I've
been to
only.
Europe. I've never been to Europe. I don't know. I
Oh,
just
that's.
assumed.
No, I haven't gone to Paris. No,
So you've
I've only
you've
been
only
to
gone
2.
to and Alani. I mean, you can't really count Alani as a park, but
Right.
I've never been to Alani. I'd like to go to Alani. But anyway, my point is, I'm more curious what you're excited about, just because like they were cool. Like anything that puts more Encanto into the world, I'm 100% behind.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
Coco.
that is what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
I'm less excited about Figment, and I'm with you. I grew up at Disneyland, and so yeah, Figment was always kind of there, but Figment was never. I mean, it's cute. I get it, and I get that. I like the idea behind Figment, but I am
Mhm.
not gaga over Figment. That's not.
I mean, and I
That's
get
not.
like if you're gaga over Figment because you rode that ride a ton when you were a
Yeah,
kid, I get
yeah.
it. But like, I'm a Disneyland guy. I didn't go to Disney World until I was in my 30s. So
Yeah. Okay, well, that's true. But I do love the idea behind imagination, and so I like
Mhm.
the idea of Figment. I think it's going to be fun for a lot of people, especially a Figment meet and greet. I think that'll
That'll
be
be cool.
fun. Most importantly, it will take the crowds away from where I want to go. So that's why I'm really excited about
Absolutely.
it.
So of the announcements, let's start with Disney World and work our way out, because there was announcements for
Okay.
Disney World, for I don't think there's actually anything for Disneyland proper. I think it was DCA.
It was, yeah.
And a couple of things in the overseas parks. But let's start with, what are you most excited about in terms of the announcements that came out for the Walt Disney World Resort and Casino?
I am so excited about the change in Dinoland, getting rid of Dinoland and they're putting Bug's Life isn't in Dinoland. This is all in Animal Kingdom, Disney's Animal
Right.
Kingdom. And they are changing. It's tough to be a bug. That's one of those things I always loved. But yeah, kids scream their way out of it because I mean, spiders under your chair is not a fun thing. But they're making that
into Zootopia, which is a movie
Zootopia.
I love.
Well, and it's funny because Zootopia is just happens to be one of those movies that I like, but I'm not watching over and over and over again. Probably because it's not a musical or it's not. Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't count because I watch Emperor's New Groove over and over again. Anyway, I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's an important message. So I'm glad that they're actually bringing it more into the park. So I think that'll be kind of cool. But oh my gosh, getting rid of Dinoland is like a dream come true for me. I hate Dinoland. I'm sorry, it's weird, but Dinoland.
Well, the whole idea of Dinoland was based on a movie that wasn't really good and nobody saw. Right? Like,
why? What was it based on?
It was based
I don't
on the
even
movie
know.
Dinosaur, if you recall.
When was Dinosaur out? I thought this was out before the movie Dinosaur.
Well, I could be wrong, but I thought it was connected to the movie Dinosaur. And it was like Sleeping Beauty's Castle, where they anticipated that the movie was going to be a big hit, and so they themed the land around it, and then the movie was not a big hit, and then they're stuck with this land.
See, I didn't even know that. I just knew that they took the Indy ride and made it dinosaur based instead of Indiana Jones based. So that was fine, whatever. And they're going to change that, and I hope they put it Indy themed like they hinted. So that would be great.
They could literally just replicate Indiana
That's
Jones
fine.
in Florida, and everybody would be thrilled.
It's going to have to be a little bit different because, well, I bet they're going to do something a little bit different. And the reason I say that,
the Imagineers got to plus it up a little bit, yeah.
When we were at Disneyland last time, Indy kept breaking down. And so one of the times while I was broken down, we were talking to a cast member about why it was broken down so much. And they said, because it's all on Windows 98 and Windows 98 hasn't been around forever. And it's too much to, actually update everything. So, but maybe they will for Dino. We'll have to see if they do that. Dino Land, though, is always the hottest part of the park. There's not any shade and it's all decorated to be like a carnival. And I hate carnivals. So I'm thrilled it's going to be tropical. I'm thrilled that Encanto will be part of this. I'm beyond happy. So
it's so funny you hate carnivals, because that's also my least favorite part of California Adventure is Midway. I'm like, I come to Disney because I don't like carnivals.
Yeah.
So why would I want that?
I know that, and it's the same. It's the same with me too. So yeah, I'm thrilled about Dino.
I'm always a fan of more indie at Walt Disney World. I'm always a fan of more indie anywhere. But particularly at Walt Disney World, it's one of those things where I'm like, you guys need more Indiana Jones. And they can't really add more Marvel in Florida.
Yeah,
so
I know. I don't know if you looked at it, but I saw this the other day. Another ride that breaks down all the time is Radiator Springs in DCA, which is the same design. It's the same vehicles as Test Track in Epcot, and they are updating and switching Test Track around. So hopefully they will fix the problems of whatever happens when it's, a little bit of wind or rain and they have to shut everything down. So,
well, and it's so funny because I definitely love Test Track, and I it's so weird. I think I like Test Track a little more than I like Radiator Springs, which is weird, but I think it's because Test Track just has more space. Radiator Springs is actually
it's very compact. Yeah.
Pretty compact. And so even when you're going fast, you don't really get to like that long straightaway that you get at in Florida. So I'm really excited for them to sort of redo and retheme and, maybe upgrade to Windows XP.
As you see, I'm excited about this because so Ed and I are taking my parents, I think I told you, for Christmas, and going to see Annika sing in the Candlelight Processional. But the Journey of Water at Epcot is finally going to be open in October. So I'm very excited to go check that out.
Not only that, but Luminous, I think, starts at the beginning of December. So you'll get a chance to see that. And for our listeners who haven't been paying attention to the announcements, Luminous is the new show at Epcot, replacing, what's the current show there?
Which one? They did. Then right now they're doing Epcot Forever, but that's because Epcot Forever took over Harmonious, and Harmonious took over whatever was there before, and then it was Illuminations that was there forever. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't have my hopes up. I don't know why. I don't know why Epcot shows never were my thing. But it's kind of like DCA shows are never my thing.
Yeah, every DCA water show I see is a little worse than the last one. They keep getting a little bit worse and a little bit like the original World of Color was very Walt focused, and I kind of dug it, even though it was not as good as Fantasmic. And this most recent one is just so like, here's all our Marvel IP and no story that I was just like,
that was.
Even though I do think the Avengers portals were cool, that's really the only reason to see that show.
Yeah. But there is what's the ride that's going to be, well, we're still on Disney World. Sorry, on Walt Disney World. There's not much.
You can bounce around. Hey, this is our podcast. It's not
we can do whatever we want.
We're going to come in.
That's true. Asha, who we haven't met yet, is coming to Epcot, Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris. But Asha's from Wish, the new movie, which we haven't seen yet. So I don't know what to tell you about Asha.
And I'm you know me, I love the parks, but I'm also like, I come to this probably a little more from the movie angle. The idea of Wish, which is like this idea that came of like, how do we make a movie that celebrates 100 years of Disney? And so the whole story is about literally a wish. So I'm fairly excited to see what the animators came up with for this movie. So I don't know the character at all. I think they've only they've only released like a 30-second teaser. But I'm really excited for the movie, and to have it come to the park automatically is again, it's a gamble. It's sort of like, we hope this movie is going to be successful, but if it's not, then we're going to be really.
I know. So what happens? It's true. Okay, there's no room, I guess. I was wondering why they're only putting did you see about the Pirates Tavern? They're putting that at Walt Disney World, not at Disneyland. And I was even trying to think, like, is there room at Disneyland that they could do a little tavern? They did Oga's Cantina. Can they do a little Pirates Tavern?
I think they could, but they'd have to close down like those shops just across from the exit.
You're right.
And I think here's the problem, because New Orleans Square is already pretty packed.
Oh, and they're getting Tiana's place.
Have to choose. So they're adding a little sort of shop outside of Haunted Mansion, right?
Yeah.
And they just added Tiana's place, right? Yeah, so in order to do any kind of tavern there, like, unless you do it, what's the place behind Tiana's place? That little table service restaurant that we went to,
Cafe Orleans.
Unless you do it at Cafe Orleans, which isn't really big enough to do it, right?
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be small anyway. But Annika and her pirate boyfriend TJ are very excited about that announcement. So. More places to be a pirate.
Pirates people.
They are big pirates.
Are Disneyland people either Pirates people or Haunted Mansion people? Because if it is, I'm a Haunted Mansion person.
So is Ed, I think.
Yeah. Like, if it's the end of the night and I only got time to ride one more between Pirates and Haunted Mansion, it's going to be Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I dislike Pirates. It's just...
No.
It's Haunted Mansion.
I'd skip both and go shopping. So that's me.
Well, coincidentally, when you come out of each of those rides, well, not now with Haunted Mansion, but there will be, you go right into a shop to go shopping. So you can do both.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Country Bear is changing at the Magic Kingdom. I'm so happy. I am so happy. I might be just as happy about that I am about Dinoland closing.
Should I be ashamed to admit that last time I was at Walt Disney World, and remember, Country Bear hasn't been at Disneyland for a long time. It's been
a long time.
Winnie the Pooh. I think we walked by Country Bear, and I was like, eh. And I used to love Country Bear.
Well, I love Country Bear before we knew about sexism and, we were young. we didn't know. Now we know.
But and
it's still there.
I like the idea of Country Bear, I think, better than I like the actual.
It's
Country Bear.
Pretty cringy.
But the idea that they're redoing it with obviously less sexism. but also
Yeah.
more Disney songs,
Mm-hmm.
is just the right update for me to be
Mm-hmm.
re-engaged in Country Bear, right? Because it
Mm-hmm.
was just a bunch of 70s bluegrass tunes. And I remember the 70s when bluegrass became popular all of a sudden. And even though I was only 5 or 6, I was having none of
I loved it. I just didn't realize what the words really meant,
it.
and now I do.
Now, to be fair, I was living in Compton at the time, and my dad was a bass player.
Yeah,
So that wasn't really the type of music we were listening to in the
that
house.
is correct.
When I was 5 or 6. So, bluegrass wasn't really, except Kermit the Frog being in the Rainbow
Oh,
Connection.
Rainbow Connection.
Sure.
I do love that. I heard it on the radio the other day. It just made me so happy. Yeah, I'm kind of excited. They changed some of the racism that was in there too. So
And you know what? This is controversial, hot take. This podcast is against racism.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you don't like it, don't listen, is all I'm saying.
I know, that's true. They're probably not.
Okay.
They're not. They know we're Democrats. They know we're not white supremacists.
And for our listeners who often don't get this with my voice, I am black. So, in case.
Just in case you never watch YouTube or could tell.
I'm just saying, it's happened to me on the phone.
Really? Were they?
Oh my God. When I was working at a university I won't name, I had a parent call me and complain about her daughter's roommate with some really racist stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then it was just a couple weeks before closing. And because I am who I am, I helped her with her thing. And I said, hey, when you come to pick your daughter up, come see me. I just want to make sure everything's okay. Then when she came to meet me and realized that she had been talking to a black person, it was just one of the best days of my career. It was awesome.
That's pretty funny too. Oh, so Hatbox Ghost is moving. That's a big thing too.
Hatbox, well, they're adding it?
No, it's already there at Disneyland's. I was trying to think if it was there.
They're not taking it away from Disneyland and moving it to Disney World. They're just
no. They're moving it to the hallway. They're moving the location of the ghost. Yes, because of the movie, and I still haven't seen the movie. Did you see the movie?
I saw the movie. No.
Okay. Well, that's why they're doing it.
It is worth a bargain matinee.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch it streaming because
it was a big part of the movie, but I like where the Hatbox Ghost is in the attraction. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. It's not like the Hatbox Ghost has been there for decades, right? So moving into the entry, and I mean, for me, it's such a weird thing to be excited about, but I'm just really excited about expanding the grounds of the Haunted Mansion because that line is my least favorite line.
Yeah. Okay. Why am I not? Okay, so have you started watching Ahsoka yet?
Well, I've often thought about this. I've got
Funny.
a list. First,
did you start watching Ahsoka yet? I have not started watching.
I haven't because I never finished the 3rd season of Mandalorian, and I'm like,
you didn't?
No.
Oh, you got to do that.
I mean, I've been busy. Getting a doctorate.
Hello? Wait, are you done yet? I thought you were done.
No, I still got stuff to do. Okay. And learning how to ride a cool motorcycle and being a cool motorcycle guy. Come on.
Man, no, but here's the thought about waiting for the motorcycle until you were done with your dissertation?
I thought about it. As a matter of fact, that was a deal I made with myself, and then I reneged and went and did it anyway.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
Come on. All right. I'm a 54-year-old single man. I do what I want.
Yeah, you do. You do. You hold those carrots out there, and they're like, "Yeah, what the hell?
What the hell? My money. I do what I want."
Yeah. And okay, well, let's go to Disneyland then, or California Adventure, because you probably know more about this. I don't even remember this from D23.
I'll be there in like 5 hours.
Yeah, but what about? So, what's this new attraction going on at Avengers?
So, at DCA, now anybody who's been to Avengers Campus at DCA, which you were very recently, here's the thing: I'm a big superhero guy, more of a DC guy than Marvel guy, but I've spent thousands of dollars on Marvel comics too. So, what's the difference? I find Avengers Campus, as it's currently constituted, to be incredibly boring because if you walk through DCA, you have your Spider-Man web ride on the left and in Avengers Campus, and you got the Pym Test Kitchen and a ton of shops. And it's basically, as it's currently constituted, a very giant Instagram opportunity because most of the land there's no attractions and nothing to do. And
I'm
Guardians
not
is sort of down and around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Not really an Avengers campus, but I guess technically so.
No, it is. They
And
made
have
it part
this
of it.
giant that takes up most of the area. This giant Avengers headquarters base where the Avengers in costume come out and stand on the roof and wave at people.
Yep.
And it's cool. Hey, it's Black Panther. But it's like, it's so clear it's meant to be an attraction building and they just haven't built it yet. So they are finally building an Adventures attraction there, which, you know, it was the original idea. They just haven't gotten around to it yet, which is going to be a ride through the multiverse, as I understand it.
So just like Guardians at Epcot?
Exactly, except with probably a different story. And
with different story, but the same thing.
The concept art I saw was pretty cool. And again, because, and our listeners may or may not know this, the reason you don't see Marvel attractions at Florida Walt Disney World is because they license those characters to Universal. And that the Universal ain't letting go of that particular cash cow. So they're only allowed to, they can't do Marvel characters at the theme parks like east of the Mississippi. So they can only do them in California. The concept art looks really cool, particularly around like the multiverse piece, because it's not just like one Spider-Man. It's like there's the Spider-Man that's Tom Holland, and there's the Spider-Man that's animated. Maybe you'll see Miles Morales from the Across the Spider-Verse movies, and you know, all sort of different iterations of all the Marvel sort of properties, which could be really cool, particularly for a comic book nerd like myself, where, you know, what you really want, everybody else can be like, hey, there's Doctor Strange, but what you want to be is like, as a comic book nerd, ooh, there's Dr. Voodoo from Brother Power number da-da-da-da. That's what you want. So I think that ride could be really cool. And I do think, now I haven't ridden Guardians. I hear Guardians is an amazing ride, and I understand to use
I'm sorry, you didn't go on that with us when we were there?
No, you keep thinking I was, the last time I was at Disney World was 2 years ago and it wasn't open yet. I was not there last year when you all went. Although it's good to know that my impression sort of lives with you all, and you think I'm there all these times where I'm not there.
Wow,
I understand, the actual attraction mechanics are amazing and great for storytelling. And so I'm really excited. And I'm going to try to go to Guardians at some point in the next year. Mission Rewind, not Guardians Breakout, because I think Guardians Breakout is a great ride and an awesome attraction. But at 54, I no longer want my stomach to drop out from under me. I'm just done.
I love it. I still love it.
It's awesome. And at one point, I just said to myself, you know, you're old enough that if you don't enjoy the actual physical sensation, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't. Everybody else can ride it. Have a good time. I'm going to get some shawarma. And
Ed doesn't go on that either.
And my mom's spirit raises from the grave and says, see, you used to make fun of me. And now you kids ride and I'm going to have a good time. That's 100% how I feel about Mission Breakout. You kids ride, have a good time. I'm going to sit down and people watch and have some shawarma. I don't mind. As a matter of fact, it's going to make my day a little bit better. I am good.
Well, Cosmic Rewind in Epcot is phenomenal. It's probably my favorite ride ever. And so if that comes to Disneyland, if it's like that, it just sounds like it might be. I'm super excited.
I can't imagine they're going to develop all that ride technology. Keep it to one part.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you too. They did a lot of updates about the parks around the world. They did talk about the ships a little bit, even though none of these are brand new announcements. They've been talking about the Treasure and the Adventure for a while, but I am so excited. The Treasure doesn't start sailing, I think, until 2024, the end of 2024, but they're gonna have like a Coco themed dining. Can't wait. I love Coco so much.
I love Coco. They didn't talk, the ships aren't particularly new, but they have a new island.
Yes, well, and they've talked about that too, right? Yeah. The Lighthouse Key.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go to that too. Yeah, I'm all
seeing
about.
As I've never been to Castaway Key,
That's true. That's true. That's true.
But
so
if listeners of our podcast know, my opinion on Disney cruises is, as much as I want to go,
you can't. You're just like me. You can't say anything
more than I want to go on a Royal.
That's only Alaska. It's not 3 times more anywhere else.
Yeah.
I do want to go to Disney Paris and now they're doing a Frozen theme land. I would love to do that. I love Frozen. I think Frozen is genius. So mostly because I gave birth to Elsa and Anna, but
it's too bad it's not a popular Disney movie.
What? Oh yeah, I'm like, what?
Like,
Weirdo.
well, that's a hot take. You love Frozen, right? Oh. It's like me. I don't care what other people say. I think Hamilton's a good musical. Yeah, I think people are on board with this.
I don't know. Are there any other parks you're like interested in going? I wish Shanghai wasn't in Shanghai. I really want to go to Shanghai.
I'm annoyed that I visited Shanghai 2 years before they opened a Disney park in Shanghai. I will definitely. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm definitely gonna at some point go to Europe, and when I'm in Europe, I'll go to Disneyland Paris, like no question, right? But would I fly to Europe specifically to go to Disneyland Paris? No, I'm gonna go to see Europe and then plus it up.
Yeah.
I've been to Hong Kong Disneyland because I was already in Hong Kong. However, I will say Shanghai and Tokyo are both, they seem to have enough extra in those parks that I could see myself making a special trip. And those are long trips just to see those parks. Like Disney Sea in Japan seems amazing.
I'd go there before I would go to Disneyland Paris. I really want to go to Tokyo Disney Seas. Yeah. I really, really would like to go.
And so maybe I'll have to sign up for a semester at sea again just to try and have somebody else pay for it. But
no, it looks fantastic. I just, I don't know where my girls' careers would take them, but if they can just stick it out with Disney until we get to Tokyo. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
They're over 18, so I can't call Child Protective Services anymore, right?
That's right. You can't. Okay. You can't at all. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all that's all I'm really excited about. Did I miss anything? Are you excited about anything more?
I mean, this isn't a part of the Destination D23 announcements, but I will say the biggest thing I'm excited about right now, and I'm going to try and plan a trip down in the next month or so to see it, is Tiana's Palace has opened.
Yes. I so want to eat at Tiana's.
And have you seen all the reviews of the food?
No.
There's a ton of YouTubers who have gone in and had the food, and the food looks amazing. The shrimp and grits, shrimp and cheesy grits, a couple of different kinds of gumbo, lemon beignets.
Yeah, those look good.
So good.
Those look good. What is it? It's like lemon icebox beignets. I'm like, I want that.
So it's like a lemony filling plus a lemon ice on top, and they make them like for you, like right there. So they still have that super delicate, So between Tiana's Palace and San Francisco,
yes,
I'm like so excited to make another Disney trip sometime soon.
I think we talked about it last time too, but I really, really, the food really is good. And it was almost done. It wasn't quite done when we were there. So I'd like to go back and see the finished product. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm not excited about going back to the claustrophobia of Disneyland though. We will. I think we're going in November. I think we're going to go for Thanksgiving. But
for Disneyland?
Yeah, I think
it's all relative because Disneyland doesn't feel claustrophobic to me. Disney World feels way too big.
Yeah,
it's all relative, right? Because it's like, and I think the difference, and this may be a whole other podcast. The difference for me is if I'm spending a couple days at the resorts at Disneyland, I can easily do everything I want in both parks without feeling like it's like I got to get on a plane to a bus to a yacht to a boat to get to another park. Whereas at Disney World, if we are in Magic Kingdom and say, hey, let's go have dinner at Animal Kingdom, I feel like it's an hour in transition just to get from one park to another.
It is. Absolutely. It totally
is. Like what you feel is like more space, I feel is like, God, how long are we going to be on this Disney transportation bus?
Well, and that's why I don't even know that park hopper tickets are worth it for me anymore at Disney World because I'm like, I don't need to spend extra to maybe go.
Right. Or you just plan and go, okay, this is the day we're doing this park and this is the day we're doing this park. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So.
But yeah, Tiana's Place, San Francisco, super excited to go. Those aren't Destination D23. For our listeners, I'm assuming you're planning to go to D23 again next year.
Well, yeah, if we can get spaces again. And I'm glad it's in August because then I don't have to like take off work.
Right.
Maybe that's why they did it for all the educators. Who knows?
I'm also an educator and I'm going to have to take off work.
Yeah, but you don't have kids that early in August.
I don't have kids, period.
Well, you know what I mean.
Our students are adults. Thank you very much. Even though they're 18.
Whatever. You do not have
really
students.
Decisions.
Yeah, exactly. They're kidults. They're not adults.
You have to understand kidults. It's part of the educational mission. We treat them like adults and understand that they sometimes don't behave that way.
Oh my God. I don't even, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
But August is great. And so for our listeners, if you want to hang out with us, we'll be at D23. And Andy's very friendly and I'm less so. So if you say hi and I'm just kind of rude, that
is so not true. And anybody who's ever met the two of us knows that he is definitely the more outgoing person in person. In person, you'll talk to anybody in line. I have my limits. I will be like, you talk to anybody. There is not anybody that you don't talk to in line.
This is true. Because I'm charming.
That's what I'm saying. You're like, I'm the grumpy one. Andy's I'm like, no. Not in real life.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert and you're more extroverted than I am.
Then why can I stand in line and be perfectly happy not talking to everybody in line?
Because I'm a ham.
Oh my God.
Because I like attention. I just want to be in control of the attention.
Oh my God. All right, Julius, you're up. What did we miss, or what are you totally excited about, or are you sad about something that we are excited about, or vice
Particularly
versa?
if you're a fan of Dinoland, like, are you really sad it's going on?
Nobody's a fan of Dinoland.
I was watching a YouTuber earlier today that was like, I can't believe they're getting rid of Dinoland. I'm like, really? But there are people.
Whatevs. Anyway.
I think it's based on they don't want it to lose its ecological bent. That they don't want to
doing Zootopia.
I agree.
They'll keep it. And Disney's Animal Kingdom is not getting rid of their ecological stance on anything.
I agree. I am not connected to Dinoland. Trust me.
I'm not a fan. Give me more shade and give me Encanto.
This is going to be blasphemy for a Disney podcast, but I'll just go to Jurassic Park over at Universal. That's way better.
I don't even need that. I'm good. Anyway, thank you. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe or leave a comment. And if you are listening to this, please leave a podcast review wherever you listen.
Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. Wait for the podcast to come to a complete stop before disembarking. Permanece centavos, por favor.